everybody, to the Built for Anything audio podcast. I'm your host, Hertz, and today we're going to talk about a couple of different things. Obviously, last night was a great night in sports. Okay, you had the Dodgers and the Astros, game 2, very historic game. You also had another thing that was going on in LA, the Lakers versus the Wizards. Wizards came in undefeated. Gortat, one of the players on the Wizards, made comments that John Wall would torture Lonzo Ball for 48 minutes. You had John Wall who said no mercy. And the Lakers won the game. But before I get into that, yesterday I went on a date. And I wanted to talk about this because I jokingly say a date because I don't date. And here's what I mean, especially nowadays. You see, people don't really date for the right reasons. Okay? We have a very screwed up society. You hear a lot of women talk about wanting to be courted and, you know, all this good stuff. But yet you see a lot of relationships where guys never did that. And they stuck around with them. I'm coming from the perspective of if the purpose is to get to know someone, then you don't need to go over the top in the beginning. See, what happens is a lot of times in relationships, you start off all strong and, you know, you got the butterflies and everybody's trying to impress everyone. And I equate it to starting a new job. You go in, you get the interview, you know, you got your best outfit on, you know, you shaved or you got your hair did, you know, you're presentable. You're saying all the right things. And then you get the job and you're on probation. So you're still doing the right things. You're working extra hours. You know, you want to show them that you're a good employee so that they keep you. Because within that trial period, that probation period, you can be fired for calling out sick. And once that 90 days is up, or some places 6 months, all of a sudden, you know, you're considered a permanent employee. You know, maybe now you're entitled to full benefits. And then all of a sudden, that's when you start calling out. You know, that's when, you know, you might be slacking a little bit. Or, you know, hey, if this is really the job that you wanted and you really want to succeed at this particular field, I mean, you'll keep things going. You know, you'll continue to be a hard worker. But the purpose of that probation period is to identify whether you're a right fit. And that's really what dating is supposed to be. You know, are we a right fit? So my approach to dating is especially if I just meet someone, right? I'm not going to sit here and plan out this extravagant dinner, or go to, you know, dinner in a movie, you know, try to find the most expensive restaurant or the most expensive thing to do. Nah, not at all. I don't need you to block out your evening or nothing like that. This isn't going to be an interview because I want to get you in an environment where you can be yourself and I can be myself. Because at the end of the day, I am who I am. You are who you are. And it might take 6 months, 1 year, you know, to really know someone. But I'm going to make sure that from the very beginning, you have a good understanding of the type of person that I am. And I want to get a good understanding of the type of person that you are. So am I saying that, you simply just don't go out? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying focus on having fun. Focus on seeing how this person interacts with other people. I met this girl. I'll use this example. I met this girl at an event that I went to over the weekend. I walked up to her, just started to have a conversation. Simple, hey, how you doing? We just started talking. And, I liked the conversation. And I just, gave her my number. Well, we exchanged numbers. Nowadays, the quick route is, hey, do you have Instagram? Oh, what's your Instagram? I'll follow you. Here's my Instagram. You know what? Here's my number. If anything, get in touch with me. We'll go do this. We'll go do that. Right? Like, that's the game now. You could just be like, what's your Instagram or your Facebook or whatever. Like, social media is the new phone number nowadays. And so anyway, I gave her my number and I continued going about my day. Hit her up the next day after maybe 1 or 2 text messages and just say, hey, we should hang out. How about we go get some ice cream? Just middle of the day. Just relax a little bit. She obliged, said cool. We went out and we had a good time. Where we went, they had an area for you to play basketball. They had the little slot machines. It was just a real cool environment. We had the ice cream. They had floats. So they had some alcohol in there. They call those the buzz shakes. And all I was trying to see is, how is this person? Forget all the, the high price restaurant. I'm not going to show up in a suit and tie or anything like that. Not that I can't. Let's not get it twisted. I clean up nice. It's just that I like to have fun. I don't feel like we got to be uptight about everything. The way I look at life is, I have an abundance mentality. It's like a revolving door. The people that are meant to be in your life will be in your life for however long they are meant to be. When it's their time to go, you bid them farewell on their journey. If you meet them somewhere down the line and you reconnect, great. But this is not a forced situation. People should be in your life because they want to be in your life. They want to see you happy and vice versa. If that's not the case, keep it moving. And so my mentality is if I approach a girl or if I'm, hanging out with a girl, if it's not going well, hey, I move on to the next one. No harm, no foul. But people tend to put so much pressure on themselves. It's like they have to have this perfect first impression. Nah, not even. Because like I said, you don't really get to know a person until you go through certain things, trials, tribulations. See how this person is under pressure. There's this joke like, you want somebody, this is what fellas say, you want a woman that gonna want you even when you don't got your hair cut. You know what I mean? And it's funny because when I met the girl, this girl, that I wasn't dressed up. It was impromptu. I was just hanging out, taking some photos, and she just kind of, jumped in front of me almost. And without a thought, I just went in for the interaction. It's funny because I had a conversation with my barber the very next day. And, we were talking about something. and because he just met a girl, and he's like trying to do all these things, and I was just telling him like, dude, just relax, like be yourself. You don't got to do all these things. There's plenty of time for that. If this is the person that you're meant to kind of go through life with, and they're willing to do, see you at your worst, like there's going to be plenty of time for you to give her flowers. There's going to be plenty. In other words, you want things to get better as it goes along. You want the person to see who you are, but also know that there's something to work towards. I'll put it like that. And I told him, like, don't play your full hand. The problem is sometimes, we'll get a girl, right? And these are for the fellas. Sometimes we'll get a girl who we might feel is out of our league. She might just be, compared to the girls that you may have had in the past. This girl, you might just blow them all out the water in terms of looks. We tend to, because you want to hold on to that, you're trying to do all these extra things. And it's just like, it's not necessary, babe. Just chill. Relax. Relax. Because like I said, at the end of the day, if you have to change who you are in order to attract someone, eventually you're going to revert. Now, listen, when I say change who you are, I'm talking about who you are as an individual in terms of good qualities. For example, if you like football and this girl that you're talking to doesn't like football, you don't just all of a sudden you don't like football. If you have certain characteristics about yourself that you need to improve on, and that's why you should be alone for a while, so that way you can identify the characteristics of yourself that you need to improve, right? In terms of your conversation skills, listening skills, just different things. Those things, obviously, you need to work on for yourself. But what I mean is a lot of people tend to, they cut off their friends, they stop going to the gym, you stop being passionate about things that you were passionate about before you met the person, all because you're trying to fit this person into your life, and you're removing all the things that you enjoy just to please this person. And that's never good. It creates resentment. And at some point, like I said, you revert back to who you are. And if that person truly does not like those things, eventually you're going to collide and eventually part ways. So why not start off, with being who you are unapologetically, and also knowing that, hey, as we go along, if I grow to like your company, then I'm going to want to do more things in order to keep your company. But I'm not going to simply start off by giving you all the rewards of being with me before you even prove yourself, and the same vice versa. So that's my approach to this dating environment, because I need to be able to see who you are. If we're on a date and you spending all the time on your cell phone, that's a no-no. If you reschedule with me, or not even reschedule, you cancel and you don't, give an opportunity for another day, or, you have sometimes people will try to flake on you and last second, call off, a date that you may have had with this person. These are things that you got to look at. Look at how they interact with the people around you. Because like I said, it's just like a job. That first couple of months, that first couple of dates, it's just all pretentious shit. Everybody's on their best behavior. Yeah, I got a good job, and you may hate your job. Yeah, I love my job, and I'm doing very, very well. You could be doing bad. You just say things that you believe the other person wants to hear. I'm an advocate of say how it is. Say how it is. At the end of the day, it's your life. If you have the belief in yourself and you know who you are, you know what you want, the person either fits the situation or they don't. Yes, there are things that you may need to compromise on, but again, you ain't got to compromise on who you are in your core. For example, I'm vegan, right? So I don't eat meat, no dairy. You think if I meet a fine ass chick right now, all of a sudden I'm just going to start eating meat just because I'm trying to bang her? No, I'm not going to you got to still be able to look yourself in the mirror. And that's just, these are things that I tell a lot of brothers, and it's just shocking how a lot of brothers just lack that self-confidence and they feel like they have to do all these extra things and you don't. And I'm not getting on here advocating that you mistreat women or lead them on. I'm just saying that understand what is your end game. Are you trying to get to know this person or not? If you're not, then that's a different story. I still think whatever it is, if you're just physically attracted to the person, you try to make that known from the outset. If they feel the same way and that's all it's going to be, then that's all it's going to be. But if you're trying to get to know the person, that takes time. So don't rush it. Don't feel like in the beginning you have to go over the top in order to improve your chances of this potential relationship going well, because it doesn't. It just doesn't. So I had a good time. She said she had a good time. And hopefully we hang out again. So let's get right into the sports. I got to talk about last night's game. I got to talk about these Lakers, these Wizards. Listen, I had people blowing up my phone because I'm a Lakers fan. And, letting me know, oh man, you guys going to get it tonight. Wall going to drop 50 on you. Yada, yada, yada. I didn't reply to none of it because I just was waiting for the game. Because I already knew what was going to happen. The ball was in these guys' heads. He's in a lot of these players' heads. And he even said it. If you're going to focus on what I say and I'm not the one you're playing, and you think this is a one-on-one thing, you just made it hard for your team. You put undue pressure on yourself. And a lot of guys are not built like that. Because the players that are built like that, they're not going to make it known. They're just going to go out on the court and they're going to attack you. And that's that. But to make these comments, it's funny. Social media is funny. So check this out. So everybody leading up to the game, you got Sports Center, Fox Sports 1 and, all these bloggers, they all said, oh man, Lonzo doesn't stand a chance. Wall is a perennial all-star. He's one of the best point guards in the game. All this stuff, he's coming for him. All these players are coming for him. Oh, Lonzo is a bust. All these things. Now you know what they're saying? Oh, John Wall needs to keep his mouth shut if that's the kind of performance he's going to have. Because if you are going to talk bold, you need to talk bold towards a lot of these other elite guards out there, like the Steph Currys, the Russell Westbrooks, and, LeBron James. Puff your chest out for those guys. And this is similar to what I said in the last podcast. I said, when I heard about this John Wall situation, I said, this the same guy who let Isaiah Thomas outplay him in the playoffs? So where was all of that talk then? My thing is, if you got to get up for a rookie, you need to be able to get up when you go against the Golden State Warriors, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who, by the way, is in your division and has been going to the finals for several years. Why not be focusing on that? Focus on how can I overcome that challenge. Oh, but you want to shut down Lonzo. And so these guys, they don't understand. You just got played. Because you came into the game not knowing whether you should force it or whether you should play your game, because you set the bar so high for yourself unnecessarily. Lonzo came into the situation like, hey, it's just another game. It's just another game. And so that's how you got to approach it. It's all about the W. And that's all Lonzo cared about. And I watched that game from beginning to end. The players around Lonzo galvanized, and they took it personally. And they went out and they did something. Brandon Ingram did something. He shot over 50% from the field. Larry Nance started off that game getting buckets. Go watch that game. Everybody took it personal. KCP took it personal. Julius Randle. Because you're not going to just talk about a player and don't expect to back it up. You got to back it up. And that's why I said this is a great thing for this young team, because pressure is what's necessary in order for you to succeed. You need that pressure. Just like a diamond, you have to be willing to get cut like a diamond. And I said, with all of this pressure, one or two things we're going to find out. Either you made for this or you not. Either way, we win. Either way. Because if Lonzo doesn't step up to the plate, then hey, maybe he is a bust. We found out sooner than later. But if not, then you just accelerated the process. Because where you have other rookies who's riding the bench or, standing in the shadows of some other superstar on their team, who they won't get any playing time, they won't really get the experience. They may need 3 or 4 years to even get to a big stage to where people are really watching them. Lonzo Ball came into the league with that. And so I think this is great. And I love how he's handling it, because his approach is, you worry about what my dad says, I worry about winning. That's it. And John Wall is a great player. But you got to worry about your division, brother. That's what you got to worry about. Bradley Beal came to play. Shout outs to him. But, the Lakers fought hard. It was an overtime game. Lonzo played great defense. I mean, not say great defense, but he definitely had some stops. And that, again, I remind you, he's 19 years old. So definitely keep an eye on the Lakers. I can't wait for some of the other matchups, because the league is going to hype it up. They're loving this narrative. And I love it too, because again, it'll just keep the spotlight on him and just increase his chances of him winning Rookie of the Year. So it won't be about stats. And see, I talked about this in one of my other podcasts, that while a lot of people are looking to stuff stats, you got to understand that there's still the eye test. There's still a lot of us who actually watch the game and see somebody's impact. And when I see the fact that you're making other players pass around you, you're making other players want to play defense and want to play with you and play hard, that's intangibles. That's what leaders do. And so this team And his impact, you can't quantify it. You can't. And so that brings me to the award of the night. Obviously, my Ball So Hard award, it has to go to, drum roll please, Lonzo Ball. No shocker here, deservingly so, because again, he came in with that pressure. He handled it well going in, and he handled it well during the game. Now, if I do have a critique, I do feel like he can be passive at times, but I think that's just him trying to find his way into the game. He seems to be a player who wants to get a feel on how the defense is playing him, and he chooses to make his adjustments that way. He's not always in attack mode, but he can impact the game in so many ways, and I think he understands that. From a rebounding point of view, from a defensive point of view, from his passing, he doesn't have to look for his shot all the time. But I do believe for him to succeed on this level, he is at some point along the way, his jump shot has to be consistent, because teams will challenge him on that. But the good thing is he's aware of that. I've heard him mention that in interviews. And so it remains to be seen. But that is my critique. Now, I want to talk about, I mentioned that you have players who no longer, want to be on certain teams. I talked about Eric Bledsoe and his comments of him not wanting to be here anymore. And I talked about Phoenix Suns, which I don't blame them. Like I said, they don't draft well. They can't attract any free agents. They look like they're tanking now. They fired their coach 4 games in. And he made his comments, and the team is ready to distance themselves from him. But the owner came out and made some comments that I wanted to address. He talked about Eric Bledsoe, his management. And he didn't specifically say his name, but you can kind of read in between the lines. He said that, Bledsoe's a great player, good kid, good guy, but he may be getting the wrong advice from the people around him. And obviously, when he talks about the people around him, he's referring to his agent, Rich Paul. Now, Rich Paul is the founder of Clutch Sports. He is a very close friend of LeBron James. So it's him, LeBron, and Maverick Carter. And listen, I commend LeBron for putting his boys on. I commend Rich Paul and Maverick for not being those type of friends that just want to be along for the ride and just leech. They actually wanted to do something for themselves and earn their way. And so here's the problem, though. Because of the influence that LeBron has in being around these players, and you see that a lot of these players are becoming more mobile. They want to go to bigger markets. You see, when you have an agent, the job of the agent is to negotiate for you. And the agent obviously gets a percentage off of your deal. So ideally, the agent wants you to be somewhere where you could potentially get a bigger deal or make more money, because he or she will gain a better percentage on that. So do you think Rich Paul wants Eric Bledsoe to stay in Phoenix, knowing that Phoenix is in no position to really compete outside of Devin Booker? They really have nothing going on for themselves. Of course he would want him to be somewhere else in a bigger market. And even though Eric Bledsoe signed, a deal where he has a couple years left, guys are trying to force their way out of a bad situation. We seen that happen with Kyrie Irving. You know, he forced his way out of Cleveland. He had, maybe 2 years left on his deal. And he chose to, put the pressure on management. And right now, Eric Bledsoe is being criticized by the owner because they don't like working with Rich Paul. Now, Rich Paul represents other players. LeBron, obviously. You have Eric Bledsoe. You have Ben Simmons. And, a few other names that I can't remember right now. But what's happening is owners and other agents are starting to somewhat blackball these guys. And that's because of the advantages that they feel that they have. Tristan Thompson was the other name that comes to mind. And look at the deal that he got. And this guy right now, he's coming off the bench, and he did absolutely nothing for that team last season. So what's happening is owners don't like to be strong-armed. And other agents feel like Rich Paul has this unfair advantage because, listen, you don't think LeBron is talking to these guys? These players talk amongst themselves. And there's a lot of influence that he has. And he's causing a lot of these players to want to jump ship. Listen, Kevin Durant was vocal when he said, hey, he saw what LeBron did. It worked out for him. He is the pioneer, whether he likes to admit it or not. LeBron is the catalyst for this type of mobility coming from these players. These guys doing, 2-year deals or, just signing short extensions, hoping that they can extend further out for bigger deals or be able to opt out and go to another team, choose where they want to be, try to take back some of that control, which I'm not entirely mad about. Hey, it's your career. I'm one of those people who did not blame Kevin Durant for not wanting to stay in OKC. Like I said, if you have a job or a profession, a field, your job is to want to excel in that field. If you're staying at a job because of loyalty, understand that when you stop producing, or if your job wants to go in a different direction, they're not concerned about loyalty to you. So you make sure that you're doing things that's in the best interest of yourself and your family. Period. So damn all that loyalty nonsense. If it's better for you to go to a different state and have a better opportunity, do what you got to do. That's what I say about that. So speaking of LeBron James, woo, man, I had such a fun time watching this Brooklyn Nets versus Cleveland game. This game was in Brooklyn. Now listen, like I said, I don't know too many people who can name the starting five on Brooklyn. There was no D'Angelo Russell, no Jeremy Lin that played. And the Brooklyn Nets managed to pull out for the win. And I had, my friends who said, hey, Brooklyn's a good team. Stop it. Okay. I'm not listening to none of that nonsense. The Cleveland Cavaliers are a loaded team. When they face an inferior team in the East, they should not just win, they should dominate them. If you have the best player in the league on your team, along with other active all-stars, you have a Dwayne Wade, a Kevin Love, okay? You're supposed to win that game. Those three names alone have done more than anybody on the Brooklyn Nets. But what happens? They lost. They lost. You know why they lost? In my opinion, LeBron's trying to do too much. This team is not good. I said it when these trades happened. I said they got older. They still can't play defense. And what happens when you play with LeBron is LeBron's system, what he's comfortable doing, doesn't work for everybody. The only system that works for LeBron James is him, a bunch of shooters, and another superstar who could close the game. That's the recipe for success. Go back and look at it. Go look at Miami with Ray Allen and some of those other shooters on that team, and the superstar he had who could close the game for him was D Wade. Once D Wade declined, that was it. They couldn't win anymore. He jumped ship. He went to Cleveland. Oh, look, this young guy named Kyrie Irving. He seems to want it at the end of the game. He's a tremendous offensive threat. But you know what? I need some other guys around me. Go get Mike Miller, Kyle Korver, and the list goes on. Surround them with shooters. But what's happening is the league continues to get younger. Players continue to improve. And their bench isn't going to be a lot of teams' benches. And that's what they should have focused on. And although they tried to, I'm saying you should have got younger. Isaiah Thomas, he's not a young guy. He's defensively, he's not stopping anybody. So this is a team that I foresaw that they're going to have some issues. I know for a fact if they get to the finals, they ain't winning. So what I anticipate is that they're going to try to pull off a trade somewhere mid-season. All these pieces that they have, the Brooklyn Nets pick, they're going to take that and they're going to package it for somebody major. A DeMarcus Cousins, or I would say Anthony Davis, but he has an injury right now. But they're going to look to make a trade and get somebody, because what they have right now is not enough. It's just not. And so the reason why I put the blame on LeBron is because this guy seems to be focusing strictly on his stats. He talks about, I want to try to be an 80%, free throw shooter, because historically he's been bad. And it's great that he acknowledges it. Just probably one of the reasons why he chooses not to go, into the post or try to pick up fouls late in games, because maybe he feels like he's not going to make it. But again, what happens is when he's playing where he has to run everything, guys just kind of stand there and not know what to do. Okay, do I just run over to the 3-point line and just wait? There's not a lot of passing going on. I get it. He's a great passer. He has great vision. But you have to have a system. You have to run sets. Other guys have to be willing to pass. Let me tell you something. In order for you to be part of the San Antonio Spurs, you better know how to pass. In order for you to be part of Golden State, you better know how to pass and defend and shoot. The same thing goes over in San Antonio. They have a system that they run. Either you fit the system or not. A LeBron system is not a system. It's not a system that brings out the best in a lot of other players. It just puts players to where they're just one-dimensional. So it's going to be a long, interesting NBA season. I tell you, it's going to be a long one. Now, before I go, I'm going to give a shout out to one of my homeboys, because he keeps telling me that the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. And he is saying that he's been saying this from the beginning of the postseason, which I told him, you're not really going out on a limb there, being that they've been the best team in baseball. But he told me, make sure I shout him out. And I'm doing so right now. I'm shouting out my homeboy for predicting something that has yet to occur. Because suddenly, with the loss from last night, guys tend to go a bit quiet. That's not good. You got to be willing to face the music. Eat crow. Okay? Because the only team that won in LA last night was the Los Angeles Lakers. Okay? So, shout out to my buddy. It's far from over. As you can see, the Houston Astros, they got a lot that they fighting for. And so that's why sports is, it's so good, because you really never know. And guys who build momentum and teams that are fighting for something bigger than them and play for each other can shock the world. So I don't think it's as simple, as easy to just pick out the best team. Because we've seen cases where the best team doesn't always win. So, hey, it happens in other sports. It can happen in baseball. It can happen in the World Series. And that's it for me, y'all. Listen, guys, thank you for listening. This is the Built for Anything audio podcast, where we talk about sports. I use sports as a backdrop to talk about and give you guys some messages and some tools that you can use in the real world. Thank you for listening. You can catch this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean. Make sure that you subscribe, share with your friends. Listen, this podcast is going to blow up because I got plenty to say, and we're going to keep going. And make sure you leave your comments. Let me know how I'm doing. Peace and love, y'all. I catch you on the next episode. I'm out.